I'm the control group girl in Sweet Favorite. The heroine of the finale gave birth to 3 sons in a row. To the pinnacle of life, and I had 3 daughters in a row. Fall into a low point in life. I'm not the author after I wake up. Are you okay? I'm not as feudal as you. I'm the control group girl in Sweet Favorite, and the heroine. It was Lin Wanwan who married into Jinbei home mansion on the same day as me. Lin Wanwan is a traveler, but she doesn't show up like a common transgender woman. Show off your skills, instead, it's like her name. She is a well-known lady. She wants to marry young and promising. The Marquis of Jinbei with great military achievements. On the contrary, my name is Shen Jinyan, merchant origin. I live up to my name. The stench of copper, Shi Kuai style. I can only marry my said brother. That infamous playboy ZCE. However, on the wedding day, I entered the wrong marriage room with Lin Wanwan. After a night, it was impossible to recover. I thought this was a turning point in my life. Look again now. This really was the turning point that started my life as cannon fodder. Lin Wanwan did not resent after being forced to change relatives. Instead, filial piety, be kind to your servants. Win the respect and love of the whole house, and I became Mistress Ho. Comparable to a villain, not bullying all day. Is to make heaven and earth, make everyone sick. CCE also switched sex after marriage, no more flirty and no more slutty, transformed into a confidant of the new emperor. It turns out that he has been pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger. After Zhou had no choice but to marry me. Trying to breathe more, repeatedly relegated. Unfortunately died in battle. Even the title was successfully inherited by ZCE. Finale Lin Wanwan and ZCE marry first and then love. First, he was canonized. And gave birth to 3 big fat boys in a row, become a winner in life. And I was determined to have a son to strengthen my position. But gave birth to 3 daughters in a row. In the end, all hope is lost. According to the plot, I should be dead tonight. Hang himself in hope, but I don't know why. The rope used to hang himself was weirdly broken. The back of my head fell hard. No pain, it's a little itchy. It seems to be growing a brain. I got up from the ground with stars in my eyes. I found myself awakened the next morning. With 2 blues under my eyes, I went to visit my little daughter, who was still sleeping in her swaddle clothes. After the nurse sword was me, eyes are about to fall out. After all, in the eyes of everyone, I absolutely hate this kid. Full moon so far, not to mention a hug, I just won't even take a second look. When I first learned of Xiao Gu's death, I think the sky is falling. He fainted suddenly. When I woke up, I was told that I was 3 months pregnant. I was living directly at that time. Immediately, I touched my lower abdomen and cried with joy. I place all my hopes in this fetus, praying to God and worshipping Buddha everywhere. Bless me for having a hard time. However, 7 months later, it was a baby girl who fell to the ground. I quietly raised my little daughter's puffy face. I just felt a hot breath in my chest rushing up. Pet my throat tight, sour eyes. I held back my tears. The control group of the heroine, it's not what I want, but that's it. I can admit bad luck with what has happened, but having a daughter is unfortunate. I don't admit it, from the youngest daughter. I went to Shuan Hall, not in yet. I heard laughter coming from the house. After entering, I found that the common mother, Su-yi, was having breakfast, 1 left and 1 right, each made a precious grandson. I don't know what I'm talking about, smiling from ear to ear. The heroine Lin Wanwan stood by, caring for them. Nowadays, women are beautiful because they are thin and weak. Lin Wanwan is this kind of aesthetic, a well-deserved beauty. Incompatible with the pleasant atmosphere in front of you. And my eldest daughter Zi Wang sitting at the end of the table. Son and second daughter Zi Yao. The 8-year-old eldest daughter is indifferent. He has a stable and mature age that does not belong to this age. The 5-year-old second daughter is a beaded snack. White meat is like a small glutinous rice dumpling. Now I'm looking in and out, made at breakfast. He turned around and saw me come in. I opened my arms, as ran over, and he suddenly heard this call. The original conversation and laughter came to an abrupt end. The lively atmosphere also took a turn for the worse. Sui immediately pulled down her face. Throw chopsticks, scolding unsatisfactory things. Be careful with my son. You still have the face to enter the door of my shoe and hall. It's appetizing. Or say that business people are mean. So spineless, no sense of shame, if I were you. A rope has long been hung from the beam. It will never be as encouraging as you. I froze for a moment. Then he leaned over and picked up his second daughter. As soon as I looked up, I met the surprised gaze of the eldest daughter. He freed up another hand and touched his head with a smile. He's not surprised. A glimmer of horror flashed in his eyes. I quickly withdrew my hand back, scared the child. The second daughter was equally flattered in my arms. He used to get a lot of dust on my nose, but he is heartless. Next time, I will jump over and call my mother sweetly. I just didn't expect to get my response this time. Mother tested understanding. Sister-in-law is the survivor of her brother. You should live well. Filial piety from my brother by your side. You are not allowed to come over, morning and evening. It took the face of us daughters-in-law. It doesn't matter. Can't live up to the filial piety of my brother Wei Jinmaru. Lin Wanwan is not in a hurry. His voice is soft and clear, the most soothing. Sure enough, Su Yu's face eased, but still sarcastically say that the morning and dusk will save you. When you come to serve him every day before dawn. Where is the Shen family? What time is it now? Lin Wanwan's low eyebrows are pleasing to the eye. Sister-in-law just got out of confinement. Look bad. I think the body is still weak, so I got up late. I hope my mother will forgive me. Sui snorted coldly. Even so. When, please sit down and have dinner together. Let Mr. Shen serve me today. It depends on whether his filial piety is sincere or not. What he's done, he's going to put on airs. But I didn't know when I had already taken a seat with my daughter in my arms. Be careful what that is. I have it now. I'll take you to our new home. The eldest daughter Gao Lang thanked her mother. Daughter has hands. The second daughter wants to eat sea cucumber porridge. At grandma's, my brothers eat white sea cucumbers every day. I haven't tried it yet, Tong Yan Wuji. The speaker is unintentional. My grandmother wasn't biased. It's for the good of the second girl. She is now taller than her peers, fat and thin out a lot. It's all about refraining from eating. I'm afraid it won't be easy to marry in the future. The second daughter immediately bowed her head in grievance. She is heartless, but it's the age to understand people's words. With self-esteem, I pinched her cheeks. Say goodbye and listen to your grandmother's nonsense. Her eyes are wide apart. Everyone is fat. You are fine now. No matter how thin you are, then it becomes a wide-bone spirit. In the future, whether it is appearance or temperament, there is no need to toss yourself to cater to others. Nothing is as important as your own health and happiness. The second daughter nodded ignorantly. I don't know if he understood. But when I heard the word white bone spirit, still in obvious shock, Lin Wanwan looked at me deeply. Like being touched by something, a hint of complexity and confusion flashed across his face. And Sui's face was extremely ugly. I interrupted him coldly. He was clearly a mother-in-law. It chills my daughter-in-law's heart first. But it turned around, if you read it correctly. This porridge is white jade ginseng, tribute to fairness. The people can only find very few defective products. Coincidentally, there is a reselling shop in my dairy. I'd rather ask Tuimu. You take advantage of my confinement, moved my dairy. Not willing to share my daughter's share. That's it. I'm not allowed to complain. Sui's arrogance just now was immediately sucked down. A face flushed red, but still stuck in the neck. How do you know I didn't get it from anywhere else? I exposed him without mercy. Do you think the cost of the houses can afford this priceless white jade body? Although I am a merchant, but the family is also wealthy. My parents forced me to marry. I just want to get an official position from my brother. So the accompanying dowry is naturally very generous. Looking at the scenery from the outside, in fact, the lining has long been corrupt and rotten. Just talking about this breakfast, 36 dishes, top to bottom. From the inside out, extravagant. I used to be Mistress Ho, in charge of John Kui. The government's accounts have never been able to make ends meet. It's all up to me to put my own dowry in it. And in the original, it's the heroine's interest. It's the male protagonist who strategizes. It's their teenage husband and wife who support each other. It reversed the situation that the Z family was about to decline. But that was after I hanged myself. What happened after the daughter of the family was eaten? And the more I thought about it, the angrier I got. Straight up, I'm not going around in circles. I'm coming today. It's not a marriage and a province to fulfill their filial piety, but to take my daughter, go out and establish another female household, famous nobility, pay attention to from one to the end. Demanding widows to die on a festival, so it is impossible for Sui to let me go free. There is no need to levy a female household. With whose consent, as long as Wang Fu has no adult male heirs, the widow can go to the official happy household. Become the head of a household, but few women in the world would do that. I would rather rely on others. I don't want to start my own house. Just because the world is difficult, the world is so big, but there's no place for them to settle down. So many things to do, they don't have a living wage. The embarrassment on Sui's face became unbelievable. What are you messing around with? I went on. I said that I not only want to establish another female household, divide according to my law, wife into husband way, share ancestral property with brother-in-law. Sui was stunned, like hearing some big joke. The law of shame. The law doesn't control other people's family affairs. My Xiao's ancestral estate and my Xiao's descendants should inherit it. It makes sense, can't be coveted by outsiders. Yan, people don't sue. This is the default under the patriarchal system, even without a son. The family property will also be left to the male heir of the same clan. Anyway, it won't be cheap, women, so-called outsiders. Then we'll just have to see you in court, wave of evil hand, for a while. The room was filled with the shrill sound of bowls and chopsticks falling to the ground, and the waking cries of Li Jian's children. Lin Wanwan always looked at me, until I heard a sound. It's like waking up from a dream, hastily turned around, and went to Li Jian to appease the crying little son. I looked across the mess on the ground. The morning sun just falls on it. It's like being blinked by something. I leaned over to take a closer look. In that bowl of sprinkled sea cucumber porridge, there is a blade the size of a fingernail. My heart skipped a beat. If this porridge was really drunk by the second daughter, the cook was careless, or did someone do it on purpose? Sui also saw her curse at me and stopped. His face changed instantly. Hastily called someone to check the kitchen. I see that she doesn't care about me at all. Turn around and take. The two daughters left. After taking the daughters out of the house, first, I went to the most prosperous restaurant in the capital to make up for a breakfast. Then head to my house in the east of the city. I got up early and sent someone to set it up. Although it is not as grand as Junbei Hu's mansion, but it must be better than Junbei Home mansion, but I'm still glad. The eldest daughter is no longer like she was a few days ago. It will show a surprised and frightened expression. Instead, red eyes full of mess reveal deep attention. I choked up and said that Auntie was wrong before. In the days to come, Auntie will make up for you well. The eldest daughter shook her head. I blinked, suddenly feel a sore nose, hastily buried his face in the pillow. Shoulders shudder involuntarily, then pull the wound. The pain passed out again, wake up again. By my side is my grandmother, whom I haven't seen in years. She was heartbroken, but I know she has other things on her mind. After she cared about my injury, he began to persuade me to go back to the manor of Shinbei to find Sui to submit to softness. Every sentence is for my own good, no mention of my brother's name, but we both understand why. You have a vengeful temperament. My brother's official position can be kept. Auntie, you don't think about yourself. Also consider your 3 daughters. Ask Auntie to think about her daughter too. Did Auntie not consider it? What a great marriage. If you don't live up to your expectations. Wrong marriage room. I just grew up, not amnesia. At that time, Cece's reputation was so bad that no one would marry him. It's my turn, the merchant girl. When I was young, I often went around with my parents to get hurt. I met a bandit once, seeing the horse's hooves about to step over me. I fell and hid far away. Grandma rushed over at all costs. Almost lost my life. I clearly understand. The person who loves me the most in the world. It's him, but the person he loves the most is not me. But it doesn't matter. In the evening, Lin Wanwan is here. I guessed he would come. But I didn't expect it to be so soon. There was only one candle in the room. Lin Wanwan sits with her back lit. Looked dark. He looked at my bloody buttocks. Asked and almost lost his life. Is it worth it? I thought about it. Like the eldest daughter, look him in the eye. Tell him he'd rather suffer. Don't be numb. Lin Wanwan was silent for a long time, and he said, well, I'm not from around here. It comes from an era that preached equality and freedom. I know I was in high spirits at first. I thought I could be like the girl in the novel. It flourished in ancient times. Think of your advanced ideas. Can awaken the progress of this era until I was taught by them for thousands of years. And top-down power, step-by-step domestication. I just realized that I was too self-righteous. I finally know what is a cannibalistic feudal society. I went from sober to struggling, to compromise to numbness. Finally sink, I don't know when. I became what society expected me to be, maybe for the first time. When I hear people praise me for being a lady, I felt an inexplicable satisfaction. Lin Wanwan's voice seemed exhausted. But he still talked to me a lot. I listened to internal angina. But it was a hindsight, feeling creepy. Lin Wanwan, he is a tragic figure who was gradually swallowed up by the feudal society. But by an author from the same era as him, as a winner in life. I understand that the winner of life is basically rich. Powerful, but in the author's shallow understanding. Women can only prove themselves by getting married and having children. Loved by husband, give birth to a son, loved by husband. It's unfortunate not to have a son. It turns out that in such an era of equality and freedom, there are also people who are more feudal and ignorant than me as a native. Besides, the male protagonist CCE still cuts rotten cucumbers. I used to live in a brothel, Huamai calls it a career. Endure humiliation and return to the prodigal son of the heroine, whose male protagonist is so despicable. Lin Wanwan stayed with me all night. The final goodbye, he turned around and smiled at me. Just as dawn broke behind, shock Wanwan down. That smile is something I've never seen before. Like a sharp blade that splits through the darkness. My name is not Lin Wanwan, it's called Lin Ju. The youngest daughter hasn't picked a name yet. From now on, it will be called Shen Ying. As for the eldest daughter, she has her own opinion, use static characters. It means that women have talent, after negotiation. I started looking for a school for my eldest daughter. Once upon a time, there was an enlightenment in the Z family, also very talented. The gentleman from the school looked at him every now and then, sighing, it's a pity that it's a daughter. The eldest daughter is born with anti-bone. Maybe that's why he chose Jingzi. I choose carefully. Finally found a home for the eldest daughter without teaching 3 from side. Peifeng Academy, a son-in-law who only preaches and teaches to solve doubts. It is said that the person behind Peifeng Academy, Princess Shenan, The fame of his morning meeting resounded throughout the capital. After all, he is only in his early teens. I don't know if this rumor is true. After the eldest daughter, Jing, went to school, she is not the busiest person every day. Instead, it is the second daughter, Wu. Get up early to send my sister to school. I will deliver food to my sister at noon. I have to pick up my sister from school in the afternoon, from the east to the west, 6 trips a day. She's still enjoying it. It seems to have endless energy, but this day, Wu came back crying when he delivered the meal. Out of breath smoking, the words are also spoken intermittently. Asked the attendant, I only knew what happened. Wu daily round trip, you can always see 2 cats in the water purification alley you pass by. 1 flower and 1 white. He loved it, but the 2 cats are very afraid of him. So Wu tried to please them. My sister's lunch every day, give some to them. My sister lost several catties. I told Wu. Next time you can bring more food or kittens. You can take them home if you want. Wu's eyes lit up. Gleefully set up the cat's nest. Can go to the alley today. What you see is being skinned and dismembered, disemboweled cat. A kitten that has already formed is born and stolen. Blood is flowing all over the place. I accompanied Wu to Jingshui Lane. The body of the cat has been buried. There was only a large stain of dried blood on the ground. On the blood, you can vaguely see a person's footprints. About 6 inches of blood, probably an 8 or 9-year-old child. The bloody footprints extend all the way inward, gradually become shallower until it disappears. And at the end of Jingshui Lane is the Gazijian. It's actually not hard to guess. It rained early in the morning. The road is being built at the entrance of the alley. You have to walk through a quagmire to get in, so walk from there. The lower body must be muddy. For example, my current shoes, socks, and skirts. There's been a lot of mud. The blood on the ground was not washed away. Explain that the flower cat was killed after the rain. Such a cruel method, such a large amount of bleeding. The cat abuser would have been stained with blood. To avoid being noticed, the murderer will be prepared in advance to replace the bloody clothes, so the sound of arrows splashing from the fruit later, whose clothes are cleaner. Who is more likely to be the murderer? The hour is approaching noon. I asked the servant to deliver lunch to Jing first. Wu and I are waiting here. It didn't take long for the sword to sound one after another. It came as I guessed. They come to class. I don't carry a change of clothes with me. Everyone has mud spots on their pants and boots to some extent. I looked down and checked them one by one. Suddenly, a pair of unsullied white boots broke into my sight. Didn't wait for me to look up. The owner of these boots has stopped in front of me. I looked up. I immediately thought this face looked very familiar. It took a long time to realize who this person was. Suddenly remembered. It has been more than a year since I left the Z family. Children grow up fast. Appearance changes quickly. I can't tell the difference now. He is the eldest of the twins, Z Sichang, or the second child Z for stars, until he saluted me. Smile. Long time no see and, what are you doing here? He is Z Sixing. His brother, Z Sichang, is arrogant. Never treat me so respectfully, just happened to pass by. I never expected to meet my new brother. I perfunctory. There are already many thoughts in my heart. My eyes are out of place. The blades mixed in that bowl of sea cucumber porridge emerged. I heard that Sui failed to find out the result after all. I can only change the blood of the servants in the mansion. Now I'm pitting these 2 unrelated things. Linked together, it doesn't make sense. But there is a malicious gas in my heart. After all, that bowl of porridge also passed through Z6's hands. This is something I never doubted before. I shudder. His eyes return to his pure good. Righteous face, he thinks he's overthinking. It's all just speculation. There's no evidence. But even if there is evidence, what can I do? This Gazijian is a noble son, even if you kill someone. Someone gave them the bottom line, let alone a cat. Besides, then Zizi was a madman pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger after Lin Wanwan's death. He became even more insane, ruthless, now in power. Where can I offend me? And he backed out. People weigh the pros and cons, but I'm also afraid that Ao Wu will be disappointed. Look down, Ao Wu is gone. The alley is almost empty. I looked back and forth, no sign of Ao Wu. Just look outside with anxiety. Out of the alley, I saw the figure of a tall woman in the distance. There seems to be a child in his arms. I quickly stepped forward to take a closer look. Sure enough, it was Ao Wu. He was soaking wet. Still holding the same wet arms, the disappearing white cat. The woman who was holding him was named Guo. There should be no one in Beijing who doesn't know him. Guo was born in a descending family. Women don't let men. I was the first female general. The white cat was grabbed by a few naughty sorts, throwing it into the water over and over again. Have fun with it. Ao Wu jumped into the water to save the cat. But he is young. I don't know the depth of the water. If not for Guo just passing by and fetching him up, the consequences are unimaginable. I was scared for a while, solemnly thanked Guo. Mr. Zifushan is polite, no effort, insignificant. Guo waved his hands again and again. The eyes that looked at Ao Wu were golden. I do have one thing I would like to ask your ladyship's wishes. The second girl had a conflict with those swords just now. Although the second girl is several years younger than them. But they add up. I didn't get any good from the second girl either. I grew up with my parents, immersed. I also helped my family manage the business. But I've been up and down in the inner house over the years. I've been rusty about doing business for a long time, hesitated for 2 months. It's all business anyway. Can help more women, no need to rely on others. You can settle down, make a living, couldn't be better. Secondly, I decided to target the powerful. First, I have business dealings with them. You can build a network for yourself. Second, to earn their money, you can use it to help the poor. It's also a kind of robbing the rich to help the poor. But it's always just passable. Just as I was frowning, I received a spiritual letter from Lin Wanwan. He understood my predicament, gave me a lot of advice. After writing a full stack of letters, it was filled with strange things I'd never seen before to make money from the rich. It is nothing more than starting from clothing, food, housing, and transportation. Let them spend money to have fun, the most basic appetite. Except for the hot pot and other delicacies mentioned in Lin Ju's letter. I also decided to introduce snacks from all over the world. As for other aspects, as long as it is novel enough, someone will buy it. I spent another half a year replanning. Business is booming. It also gradually gained a reputation in the capital. Tired every day, but it's never been so fulfilling. Life goes round and round. 2 uninvited guests came today. It's Sui and his spoiled little grandson Zizifu. The famous chaos demon king in Beijing, Zizifu, just entered. Sui said, I don't know what came to mind. Ha laughed. After laughing, he scolded and said that there are 2 girls. It's not bad, but you let him follow Guo to dance knives and guns all day long. What man would like such a rude person? I can't listen anymore. Get up and shoot him. Go out. I sent my daughter to school for the sake of understanding. Not to mention the second daughter of Song who practice martial arts. At least keep fit, they elevate themselves. Not for marriage, and gooeying tiptoes, and said something in Shosford's ear. Then he pushed him out with a smirk on his face, after they go back. I heard that Shosford smoked Sui's chair. Let Sue successfully get on crutches at the age of 50. Ah Jing will come back from class in the afternoon. I told her the story. Ah Jing said calmly. He served Prince Hui that day, and will be present in the future. The only person who can talk to the prince is Zizi Chang. And he knows that Zizi Chang and I have never dealt with each other. It wasn't a good day either. He is arrogant. Back then, when he was enlightened in ethnology, He was suppressed by Jin everywhere. Later, he entered the Guozi prison, chosen as Prince Bandok, more arrogant, as usual. In previous years, his father was the first at the poetry fair. But this year, Jin was also invited too, once again stole Zisa Chang's limelight. He was also weirded out by him on the spot, similar to Su Yi's words. Disgusting. I heard anger, more powerlessness. I've been working hard for so long, still under power, involuntarily, if the prince insists on this. Just take out all the connections I've accumulated over the years. The arms can't twist the thighs. I made an immediate decision. Our family left Beijing immediately. Can't you escape? Auntie will not let anyone go against your will. Jin shook his head. I would like to enter the palace. I was taken aback. Jin continued to explain. Is to enter the palace as a female official, instead of entering the East Palace to be a concubine. I can't. Isn't this a wolf into a tiger's mouth? Jin, could it be that the king's land? Even if you flee to the ends of the earth, you may not be free. The most dangerous place is the safest place. And Princess Shunan will protect me. I forgot to tell Auntie, the rumors are true. Peifeng Academy was indeed founded by Princess Shunan. The daughter has met the princess several times in private and hit it off, sighed as confidant. I finally agreed to Jin's appointment as a female official. It's been a few months. There is no movement from the prince. I'm gradually relieved, but the heart that just let go. It didn't take long to bring it up again. The next 2 years, natural disasters continue. Drunk money fans in the city. Mourning is everywhere outside the city. The private houses I saw were all full. The enemy in the north is also eager to hear the news. War is coming soon. General Guo Xuan Guo will also go to the battlefield, and Ao Wu is going too. He has been practicing martial arts for 6 or 7 years. As Guo Xuan said, a martial arts genius, although young. But it has been able to fight 10 with 1, but it was a battlefield after all. How can I not worry? They went too fast. I can't even send one. My heart is in a mess. Unintentional to go to the store. I also heard that there have been frequent female corpse cases in the moat recently. Make people panic. Decided to pick up a Ying in person after class. She is also studying at the accompanying Wind Academy now. A Ying casts human sperm, extremely talented in business. The age of bedwetting can give me advice. I took her to see 100 plays earlier. I came back and bought a painting book to read to him. He said that the story in the drawing book was so wonderful. Nowadays, drama has become popular in Beijing. We went back past the moat. There was a crowd of people. Looks like someone died again. It's been half a year. The 9th female corpse recovered. I heard that these corpses were soaked and puffy and rotten. But you can still see the scarred body. Apparently subjected to inhuman abuse during his lifetime, the body is no longer identifiable. It's okay if no one claims it. The bizarre thing is, I've never heard of a lost woman in the neighborhood. It's as if these corpses came out of nowhere. Dali Temple checked for half a year, no clue. The murderer didn't show any restraint. There have been all kinds of conspiracies and grotesque. I don't believe it if there is no trick in it. The officer carried the corpse past us. I'm busy covering Yin's eyes and nose. I couldn't help but glance at myself. This one didn't scare me. It was taken aback. Look at someone I know. The left foot also has 6 toes. My heart is like thunder. That person is my friend. His name is Kun. Everyone salutes him. Lady Kun, famous for starring in Shengyan Chen, which I rehearsed. Many powerful people visit, but he was unmoved by fame and fortune. Concentrate on improving your skills. It stands to reason. He should be rehearsing at the crystal table at this time. I will send Li Ying home. Busy ride to the crystal platform. If Al Kun is not there, unlike the other 5 female corpses, no clue. There are indications that corpse is Al Kun, after Wu Suo Inkstone. The other women were tortured. and thrown into the moat after death. But Ah Kun is different. He wasn't hurt. He drowned in the water. Ah Kun is a celebrity in Beijing. It made a lot of noise, Zhangku Shujin, but another half a month passed. There is still no movement from Dali Temple, struck public anger. The literati who admired Ah Kun also slaughtered. Public opinion is putting pressure on the government. The emperor can send it away. Officials of Dali Temple redispatched people to conduct a thorough investigation. But no one wants to take this hot potato. This time, Princess Shonan stood up. Said he was willing to take over. The funny thing is, the case that Dali Temple has not solved for more than half a year is in Chuan. The princess's hand was broken in half a month. The person who did the evil was sea Sixing, dreaming of the disemboweled cat. And the sea cucumber porridge with the blades. Unexpected, again expected, and the process of doing evil is outrageous. Those unnamed female corpses are actually refugees. Z6ing is thoughtful, focusing on orphans. No one will know if they are gone. Just think of it as starving to death in the wilderness during the escape. Except for those who were tortured and killed, Z6ing's private prison. Hundreds of such women are still locked up. He forced prostitution. For abuse with abusers like him. As for Ah Kun, Princess Shonan found his suicide note. He committed suicide, not harmed by Z6ing. But he died because of Z6ing. The case was also solved because of him. Ah Kun was also an orphan refugee before she became famous. He once feigned death and escaped when Z6ing arrested people. Therefore, knowing Z6ing's shady deeds, he watched helplessly as those nameless women died tragically one by one. I can't do anything about it until he became famous. Jumped into the moat without hesitation. He chose his own death. Change other women to see the light of day. Z6ing betrayed. Execution is just popular. It seems that ZCE has already arranged for him. Exile, more like play. Stay a few years. The limelight has passed. You can swagger back again. And what everyone has forgotten is, there are other abusers in this case. ZCE is now in power. Z6ing was pushed out. With the indignation of the common people, other abusers can disappear. The case was tried by the emperor himself. Of course, no one dares to say that the emperor is suspected of covering up. After the robbery, I expanded the refugee camp, placed 100 women, and then we put them in camp. Then I went to pay homage to Ah Kun. I didn't expect Ah Jing to accompany Princess Shonan. Princess Shonan did not come after the robbery, relaxed but dignified. One last sentence won't keep you waiting too long, and he left. Over the years, Ah Jing has been working with Princess Shonan. I used to be able to go home once every 10 days. It's been getting busier and busier since then. I haven't seen anyone for months. I always feel that in this imperial city, there's an undercurrent where I can see it. The situation in the north that can be seen is also very serious. Border grain is in short supply. There was a famine. The food has been delayed. Morale in the army is low. The enemy is fierce. Captured several cities in a row. Directly approaching the customs, I decided to go to the border to deliver food and grass to Ah Wu and General Guo. Liu An helps me manage the property at home. He was overjoyed with the abacus after Princess and heard about it. Gave me half of the private soldiers to escort me on the road. Only then did I understand why the grain was not delivered to the border. Just because officials deduct along the way, intentional detention. Don't say delay, even if it is delivered, there is not much left. Deducting food and grass is a capital crime. But the sky is far away, instead of entangling with them. Why don't you spend money to settle it first? Settle the bill with them later, all the way down. It went well. But I never expected I can meet Ling Ju again. That was in the last love. We encountered the rear army. They're going to forcibly leave our food, but our food is going to the front. General Gu's war is urgent. The two sides are at loggerheads. Suddenly, there was a high-pitched neigh of a horse. From a distance, I saw a woman beating a horse and whipping a whip. Breaking snow, he pointed to the team behind him delivering the grain. Don't rub anymore. Our food is for the rear. Release soon. The military plane is delayed. You can afford it. Many people, far away. We were stunned when our eyes met. It took a long time to smile at each other. Feng Shui is negligent. It's a little blurry. I didn't have time to ask, okay. The carriage below started to move. I craned my neck and looked back. That vivid figure gradually becomes a point. Then I walked another 10 miles. The snow is falling. General Guo and Ah Wu came to meet with a team of people. We haven't seen each other in 3 years. Ah Wu has grown taller. Then she led Princess Anne to act decisively. He became king with the support of his own forces. Ziyi and Zicheng Zixing father and son asked for help after autumn, and Zhu and Sifu were exiled to Lingnan. After many years, Lin Zhu returned to the capital. The night before the execution, cooking with my own hands was brought into prison. They didn't recognize him. Maybe he's changed too much over the years. Or maybe they never thought that people can come back to life after dying. He went to worship those innocent women who died tragically. Lin Zhu said to me, he has a guilty conscience. The waking pain is dense, like a lost heart. It's hard to break through the shackles of the world. But you are responsible. He got drunk with me. The next day it was back to normal. Say goodbye to me. I took him to the city gate. Didn't ask him where he was going, just overlooking the messy ruts on the ground. The world is disturbed. We can't do this alone. But also went out of his own way, finished liquidating these empresses. Appointment and reward. Our Jin Konglong has merit. Official worship Prime Minister, the office of a servant. Ah Wu also sealed the little general, in charge of marching into the front office. Although General Guo has made great achievements in the past, but as a woman, short-term job, now the masters are all women. Nature is no longer subject to these regulations, directly promoted to Privy Council. And the 6 months I was away from home, I don't know what I did. My family became the richest man in Beijing. Maybe I should be happy running around for half a year. You should get some rest, but someone always annoys me. The Z clan decided to erase Ziyi and the others from the family tree. Hai Yuzhen condescends to the noble arms. I usually write about my 3 daughters into the family tree. 3 daughters have to be changed to 3 sons. Where is my family tree? Is it a valet? As long as it is male. Even if it is bland, nothing, you can enter the family tree at birth. And the woman only has Guangzhong Yaozu, great achievements can, not as a woman, I don't think it's glory. It's an insult. I asked Ah Wu to beat them out. 3 daughters are excellent, of course I am very proud. They can be mediocre, can be imperfect. All of them deserve to be loved, they are born to be valued. Men dress up as women to participate.